The following video may contain content or subjects that some viewers may find disturbing or offensive. It is important to note that this video is created for educational purposes only and aims to shed light on the actions of certain UFC fighters who have been involved in heinous crimes outside of their fighting careers. The intent is not to glorify or endorse their behavior, but rather to provide information and raise awareness about these incidents. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to the channel, Fight Fans. I'm your host, the MMA Spokesman, and today we have a compelling and thought-provoking countdown for you. We'll be delving into the dark side of the UFC, highlighting 10 fighters whose actions outside the octagon have been nothing short of disturbing.
I hate you. I hate you.
These individuals have been involved in acts that are truly unimaginable. So, buckle up and prepare yourselves as we descend into a pit of misery and downright degeneracy. Remember, this video is purely educational and aims to shed light on these unfortunate incidents. Let's begin our countdown of the 10 most evil UFC fighters in history. Josh Grispi, a former featherweight fighter in the UFC, takes the first spot on our list of the most evil UFC fighters in history. Grispi competed in the UFC from 2011 to 2013 but faced a downward spiral after losing 4 consecutive fights. Unfortunately, his troubles extended far beyond the octagon. In 2014, Grispi was arrested for domestic assault and battery. Shockingly, it was reported that he had allegedly trained his pit bull terrier to attack his wife, Caitlin. This horrifying act of violence demonstrated a disturbing disregard for human life and safety. Additionally, authorities discovered marijuana plants and cocaine in his residence, further compounding the gravity of his actions. Subsequently, in 2017, Josh Grispi was convicted on multiple charges related to domestic violence and drug possession. As a result, he received a prison sentence of 5.5 years. The severity of his crimes serves as a reminder of the dark side that can exist behind the bright lights of the UFC. Number 9 on our list of the most evil UFC fighters brings us to Karl Roberson, a former middleweight fighter who participated in the Contender Series and competed in the UFC from 2017 to 2022. Despite his initial promise, Roberson's career took a downturn, leading to his eventual release from the promotion after suffering 4 losses in his last 5 fights. However, it was Roberson's off-the-field actions that truly showcased his descent into criminal behavior. In April 2023, he faced arrest in New Jersey on multiple charges, including burglary, theft, criminal mischief, possession of a controlled dangerous substance, and various weapons offenses. Shockingly, it was alleged that he broke into a residence, carrying out a theft that involved numerous items, including a defaced handgun and cocaine. This also brings up the topic of fighter pay. Why the fuck would a professional fighter need to commit such crimes? Now obviously, there are many other legitimate means of making a second income than straight-up burglary, like dealing heroin. But the fact it was even a thought process to begin with when in such a position is truly heartbreaking. These criminal charges further highlight the dark side of Karl Roberson's life, overshadowing his professional career in the UFC. Such behavior not only reflects a blatant disregard for the law, but also perpetuates harm and threatens the safety of others. Now, moving on to number 8, Jason Miller. Jason Mayhem Miller is a veteran of the UFC, Strikeforce, Dream, and WEC. He is known for his colorful personality, flashy entrances, and entertaining fights. He also hosted the MTV reality show Bully Beatdown, where he helped victims of bullying get revenge on their tormentors. However, behind his charismatic facade, Miller had a dark side that would eventually catch up with him. Miller's troubles began in 2012, when he was arrested for breaking into a church and vandalizing it with fire extinguishers. He claimed that he was on a mission from God and that he had found enlightenment. He was later released on bail, but his erratic behavior continued. In 2013, he was arrested again for domestic violence against his ex-girlfriend, who accused him of choking her and threatening to kill her. He pleaded not guilty and was released on bail again. In 2014, Miller was involved in a standoff with the police after they tried to serve him an arrest warrant for stalking and violating a protective order. He barricaded himself in his home and live-tweeted the incident, taunting the police and asking his fans to join him in a peaceful protest. He eventually surrendered peacefully after several hours. In 2015, Miller was arrested yet again for assaulting 2 police officers who responded to a disturbance call at his home. He allegedly threw a ceramic tile at one officer and threatened them with a metal pole. He was charged with assault with a deadly weapon and resisting arrest. In 2016, Miller was arrested once more for vandalizing a tattoo parlor with graffiti. He was also accused of spitting on an officer and kicking the window of a police car. He was charged with vandalism, resisting arrest, and battery on a peace officer. In 2017, Miller was sentenced to 1 year in jail for his various crimes. He was also ordered to undergo anger management and substance abuse counseling. He apologized for his actions and said that he wanted to turn his life around. Miller's criminal record is a sad reflection of his mental health issues and substance abuse problems. He has wasted his talent and potential as a fighter and tarnished his reputation as an entertainer. He is one of the most notorious examples of how MMA can go wrong when fighters lose control of their lives outside the cage. Number 7. Dimitri Sosnowsky. Dimitri Sosnowsky was a promising heavyweight prospect who had an impressive record of 11 wins and no losses. He made his UFC debut in 2018, defeating Mark Godbeer by submission in the second round. However, that would be his only appearance in the octagon, as he was soon involved in a shocking crime that ended his career and landed him in jail. In 2019, Sosnowsky and 4 other men kidnapped a Russian businessman and demanded a ransom of 300,000 rubles, or about $4,000. They threatened to kill him if he did not pay up, but the victim refused to give in. He managed to escape when the kidnappers left him alone in a room and contacted the police, who arrested Sosnowsky and his accomplices. Sosnowsky was found guilty of kidnapping and extortion and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. He also had to pay a fine of 500,000 rubles, or about $6,600. His UFC contract was terminated and he was banned from competing in any MMA organization. Sosnowsky's case is one of the most shocking examples of how a promising fighter can throw away his career and freedom for a petty crime. He is now serving his time behind bars, while his former victim is probably glad to see him off the streets. Number 6. Abel Trujillo. Abel Trujillo was a lightweight fighter who competed in the UFC from 2012 to 2017. He had a record of 6 wins and 4 losses in the promotion, with notable victories over Jamie Varner and Gleison Tibau. However, in 2019, Trujillo was arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a child and obscenity. He pleaded guilty to promoting a sexual performance by a child and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. He also had to register as a sex offender for life.
Slytherin. Hufflepuff. Housing for registered sex offenders.
Trujillo's crimes involved sending and receiving explicit photos and videos of underage girls. He also solicited sexual acts from them online. He admitted to having a sexual addiction and apologized for his actions.
I like sex. It's nice.
Trujillo's case is one of the most disturbing examples of how a former UFC fighter can ruin his reputation and career with his depraved behavior. He is now serving his time in a Colorado prison, while his victims are probably traumatized by his actions. Securing the 5th spot on our list is Lee Murray, a former UFC middleweight fighter who made a single appearance in the promotion back in 2004, impressively submitting Jorge Rivera. Murray had a respectable MMA career, boasting 8 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. However, his story took a dark turn as he became embroiled in a criminal path that ultimately led to his downfall. Murray gained notoriety not just for his fighting skills, but also for his involvement in a highly publicized incident. A memorable brawl with Tito Ortiz outside a London nightclub showcased his reputation as a street fighter. Nevertheless, it was his criminal activities that cast a more sinister shadow over his career. In 2006, Murray was arrested for his role in the Securitas Depot robbery, a staggering cash heist considered one of the largest in history. Disguised as police officers, Murray and his accomplices orchestrated the kidnapping of the depot manager and his family, coercing them into cooperating. They proceeded to steal over £53 million from the depot before making their getaway in a van. Murray managed to flee to Morocco, where he sought citizenship. However, his criminal pursuits caught up with him when he was stabbed in a drug deal gone wrong. Subsequently, he was extradited back to the UK to face justice. For his involvement in the robbery, Murray received a 25-year prison sentence. However, his attempts to escape custody resulted in an increase to a 30-year term. The audacity of Murray's crimes sent shockwaves through the MMA community, effectively derailing his potential as a fighter and cementing his place as one of the most infamous UFC competitors with a dark criminal history. At number 4 on the list is Hermes Franca, a former UFC lightweight contender who showcased his skills in the quest for the championship title in 2007. Throughout his MMA career, Franca achieved a commendable record of 22 wins, 12 losses, and 1 draw. However, behind his fighting prowess lies a deeply disturbing secret that marred his reputation. Franca's fall from grace came with a shocking conviction for the sexual abuse of an underage girl who happened to be his jiu-jitsu student. The court found Franca guilty, as he pleaded guilty to 1 count of unlawful penetration and 1 count of first-degree sexual abuse. Disturbingly, Franca admitted to engaging in multiple instances of sexual contact with the young girl between 2007 and 2009, when she was only 14 and 15 years old. As a consequence of his actions, Franca was sentenced to 42 months in prison and required to register as a sex offender. The MMA community was rightly disgusted by his crimes, which not only tarnished his legacy as a fighter, but also represented a significant breach of trust and a horrifying violation of an innocent victim. At number 3 on our list is Jon Bones Jones, a former UFC light heavyweight champion and widely regarded as one of the greatest MMA fighters in history. With an impressive record of 27 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest, Jones has left an indelible mark on the sport, defeating legendary fighters such as Daniel Cormier, Shogun Rua, and Lyoto Machida. What places Jones high on this list is not only the nature of his crimes, but also the perceived leniency of the consequences he has faced in relation to his actions. As one of the most recognizable figures in the MMA world, his behavior has drawn significant attention and sparked debates regarding fairness and accountability. Jones's repeated encounters with the law, including multiple DUI charges and a hit-and-run incident involving a pregnant woman, have led to public outrage and criticism. Additionally, he has faced allegations of drug use and has tested positive for banned substances, resulting in suspensions and the stripping of his titles. However, it is worth noting that Jones has made a remarkable comeback in recent years. After taking a 3-year hiatus, he returned to the octagon and achieved the UFC heavyweight championship by dominating Cyril Gane in the first round. The handling of Jones's case and the perceived leniency of the consequences continue to be subjects of debate. While some argue that he has faced significant scrutiny and professional repercussions, others believe that the severity of his offenses has not been met with proportional consequences. These differing opinions contribute to a sense of frustration and disappointment within the MMA community. Taking the second spot on our list is a fighter known by the name of War Machine, a former UFC welterweight who competed in the promotion during 2007 and 2008. While War Machine's MMA career was rather average, with a record of 14 wins and 5 losses, it is his off-the-field actions that truly showcase the depths of his depravity. War Machine gained notoriety for his outspoken and controversial personality, as well as his involvement in the adult film industry. However, it is his violent and abusive tendencies that have led to his most horrific crime. In 2014, War Machine was convicted on 29 counts of assault, battery, kidnapping, and sexual assault. His ex-girlfriend, Christy Mack, and her friend Corey Thomas were the victims of his brutal attack. War Machine subjected them to relentless beatings, using both his fists and weapons, resulting in severe injuries. Additionally, he perpetrated multiple instances of rape against Mack, while also threatening her life. Following the incident, War Machine attempted to flee the scene but was eventually apprehended by law enforcement. In light of his appalling actions, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 36 years. The shocking and disgusting nature of War Machine's crimes reverberated throughout the MMA community and the general public alike. The severity of his offenses solidifies his position as one of the most vicious UFC fighters to have committed heinous crimes. Taking the top spot on our list at number 1 is Joe Son, a former UFC heavyweight who made a single appearance in the promotion in 1994. Son's MMA career was plagued by disappointment, marked by a record of 0 wins and 4 losses. However, it is the haunting and sinister nature of his crimes that place him at the forefront of this list. While some may recognize Son for his brief role as Random Task in the movie Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, his involvement in a chilling and brutal crime overshadows any fleeting moments of fame. In 1990, Son was convicted of torture and murder, perpetrating an act of unfathomable cruelty. Alongside his accomplices, Son played a horrifying role in the gang rape and torture of a woman. On a chilling Christmas Eve, they abducted her at gunpoint and subjected her to hours of unimaginable pain, repeatedly violating her and inflicting unspeakable suffering. Their threats to end her life only compounded the horror, leaving her naked and abandoned on the roadside. The wheels of justice turned slowly, but in 2008, Son's DNA evidence conclusively tied him to the crime, leading to his arrest. As a consequence of his actions, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Tragically, Son's dark path did not end there. In 2011, he committed another heinous act, taking the life of his cellmate by violently stomping on his head. The gravity and brutality of Son's crimes are unparalleled, solidifying his place as one of the most depraved figures ever associated with MMA. His actions serve as a chilling reminder of the depths of evil that can exist within individuals. Thank you for tuning in to our video, exploring the unsettling incidents involving UFC fighters. I appreciate your viewership and support. Join me in the next video where we delve into another intriguing addition to our What If series. Stay tuned as we explore the hypothetical scenario of what could have happened if Georges St. Pierre continued his middleweight title reign. See you in the next video.